All right, so moving forward, we've looked at how to import our photos from our camera or phone into Photoshop. And then we went through some black and white non-destructive adjustment layers. And I'm going to wrap up this exercise with just showing you what duotones and tritones are. Now, this is more or less relevant for printing purposes. So if you were to print a black and white image, let's say you get this really gorgeous full tonal range, nice contrast black and white image that you then go to print on your digital printer, and then it comes out and it just doesn't look as good. You can see stripes between gradients, right? You get banding, and overall it just doesn't have that same quality that the black and white image did on your monitor. That's because a black and white printer, depending on how good it is, can't really reproduce that many grays and blacks and lighter tones. A good printer can only do, I don't know, maybe 50, 60, 70 shades of black to white. So if you have an 8-bit grayscale image that has 256 tones of black and white, then the printer is losing out on a lot of that visual range. So for printing purposes, what we can do is we can make what's called a duotone or a tritone. But before we do that, we have to make sure we have our black and white image set first. So go ahead with this image, if it's not already, but go ahead and let me click on adjustments. Let's go ahead and do a black and white adjustment layer. And let's get this looking right. Lots of dark values, and the light values should be a good range. Let's get it to pop, let's get it. I'm kind of doing this quickly. I'm not fine tuning it, but let's just say, okay, so we have the image the way that we like, and in order to create a duotone, we do have to convert it to a grayscale first. So we can come up to mode and mode and then grayscale. And this is going to say, okay, well, do you want to merge these layers? Just go ahead and hit OK. And then it's going to say, are you sure you want to throw away all this color information? Just hit discard. So that takes away that adjustment layer, that merges everything into one, and that gives us a proper grayscale image ready to now be made into a duotone. So again, like I was saying, a duotone, basically, if you were to take that nice black and white image and put that in and print that out, it may not look the way that you want it to look because the printer is not able to reproduce all of that visual range from black to white. So what we do with the duotone is we inject one other color. So we have black, but then we put in one other color, and that will help fill in that gradient while still keeping the image more or less monochromatic. Now it just depends on what color you choose and how much saturation you get, but come up to image here and mode, and now you see duotone can now be selected because we're in grayscale, right? You can't select duotone unless the image has become a grayscale image first. So go ahead and hit duotone, and we get these options that pop up here. So the first thing we have is monochromatic, a monotone, right? A black and white image is a monotone image. So go ahead and click on this right here. So we see duotone, tritone, quadtone. Now that just represents how many colors you're putting in with this monochromatic black. So if you just hit duotone, that's going to open up this box here, and click on that, and you can pick, I don't know, let's pick a red here. That's a little bit too red. So something like so. Go ahead and hit OK. So what this is doing is that it's injecting red as well, so that when you go to print this out in your digital printer, your printer has more it can add. It has more gradients and more of a tonal range by using that red to create more colors when it's mixing with the gray and the black and the light gray and whatnot. So again, this is for printing purposes, but you can get, I'll show you some really cool duotone effects next week that we can work with. Especially if you're going for a particular aesthetic effect, but you want to keep an image monochromatic. So here I can show you, it doesn't necessarily even have to be black, right? Black was just kind of the segue from black and white. But if I click on this here, and if I change black to, I don't know, let's say blue, right? A brighter blue. So we can see the image is now using blue and red. instead of black and red. And this can get crazy, and again, I'll show you some cool stuff later on, but you can add in a third ink or a fourth ink and really change the palette. But for our purposes, I'm going to put this back to black, and I'm going to change this back to duotone, and let's just we'll change this to just a very subtle shift there, and then hit OK. Right? Oh. Okay. And red. Okay. So that is how we would go about making a duotone. So remember, it has to be a grayscale image first, and then you would add in that second color. And to continue with the weekly exercise, so those 3 images that you were working on and changed into black and white versions, I'd like you to submit those black and white versions to me, but then I'd also like you to submit duotone versions of those images as well, right? And you'll submit those as PSD Photoshop files as well. So all in all, the weekly exercise, you will upload and send to me 6 images, 3 of them black and white, and then 3 of them duotones.